Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another True You podcast with me, Paula Burns, Creative Confidence and Visibility Mentor. So this is a place where we have open discussions to understand who we are in order that we can live our lives to the fullest. And every week I bring on a special guest who is sharing their version of their true life. And I love the variety of the guests that I bring on to this podcast because lives are so different. And what's really inspiring is to know that each of us can have our own special thing that we do in life that makes us feel like we are in flow. And so I'm really excited for my guest today, really looking forward to our conversation. And so I'm going to get straight into it. Welcome, Liz Stanley.
Paula, for a very, very warm welcome. Much appreciated.
Fabulous to have you on the podcast, Liz, and I can't wait to hear your story because even though we sort of know each other, but we don't know each other.
Yes. So
I think there's just like so much that we can learn from each other. So yeah, that's why I'm so excited. And also, you know, my listeners will be excited to hear as well what you've got to say. So Liz, are you happy with me calling you Liz, not Elizabeth? Yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's strange because all of my work emails have got Elizabeth and have done for years, even my name badges previously. But everyone calls me Liz in person. So yeah, Liz is fine.
Fab. So Liz, tell everyone, what is it that you do?
So what I do is I'm the founder and director of a small accountancy practice called SF Accounts Limited. So we look after small businesses, sole traders, partnerships, CICs, which I love, limited companies with all of your accountancy needs. However, our approach is no business is too small because we do appreciate that sometimes you don't need a full accountancy practice or package. You don't need accounts done every single month with management accounts. Sometimes you just need your hand held, and we offer that as well.
I love the hand holding because I'm terrible at figures. So I say I'm terrible at figures, but you know, I'm okay, but I just don't like it. It's not something that I enjoy, but you must enjoy it because obviously I can see you light up every time you talk about figures and numbers.
I absolutely love it because you don't just see numbers and figures. What you see is how a business is growing, how a business is changing. And the numbers tell such a big story. I find them really exciting. And working with so many small businesses locally, I get to see what's happening locally and right on my doorstep. And it's absolutely phenomenal. Just because there isn't somebody in a big shop doesn't mean there isn't business around. It's amazing.
Exactly. So can you put your finger on one thing that you love the most about what you do?
Oh, God. Funnily enough, maybe it's not producing the account. Maybe I think it's actually when somebody sits in my office and they've come in and they're terrified. Most new clients, most initial consultations, the person coming through the door is terrified of an accountant. And it's seeing that mic drop moment when all that fear just vanishes and it's instant. It's like a switch. That has to be the absolute best part of my job. Just seeing that.
Yeah.
It's pure magic.
Yeah. And especially with new, because I remember when I first came into business and even when I talk to people about that, because some of my friends are in business and and excuse me, and they worry about the figure side of things. They're like, oh my gosh, you know, I've got to pay my tax. How am I going to pay my tax? And that's the first thing they really worry about. And I was exactly the same. Have I got all these figures right? Am I putting the right thing in? You know, am I going to be thrown in jail? And it is just like the panic. And I think that's what people worry about so much. And it's so nice to have somebody like you where you've said you do the hand holding, you know, you look after the small companies as well, you know, because you hear about business and you might think of these big corporations and things like that, but so many people are running like, you know, kitchen table businesses or small shops or whatever, and you know they don't have the capacity or the time to get their head around all the figures. And so having somebody like you is absolutely perfect. So
it's the energy, it's the personal energy that goes
yeah.
into it, because I think we've all got parts of our business that we struggle with. And if you think, how much energy do you spend on that bit? And it seems quite cumbersome, whereas we're here to help relieve you of that negative energy, to be fair. And it's the difference it makes is huge.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does. I believe you. I believe you. So Liz, I am going to take you back now to your childhood. Because I love this question, asking about childhood, because I feel like there is always something that follows you throughout your life that then brings you to this place where you are living a life that you truly love and you're doing something that you truly love. So I want to hear a little bit about your journey. What was your childhood like growing up, and also, sort of what happened in terms of your career, for you to the stepping stones that got you to this point?
Well, my childhood, I think it was magical. I grew up in Cwmbran. I lived on the top of the mountain. I say I lived on the top of the mountain, but I lived in Thornhill. And we just got to explore everything. Everything was green, everything was walking, and it was all centered around family and the church, basically.
Yeah.
It got to the point where, because of family, a broken family, then my school, I was really silent. You wouldn't believe it now, but I was silent, dead silent, and I wouldn't talk, and I was going into myself. And so what happened was my teacher sat there in parents' evening and told my mum and my grandfather she needs stretching to bring herself out of herself. And this is really where it all began and where it all changed. And she suggested the piano. At that point, my mum squeaked because there wasn't money for a piano. I went, we can't afford that.
Yeah.
And my grandfather played B flat bass, which is the big, massive tuba in a brass band, in Cwmbran. So he said, don't worry, Avril, I'll take you down the band room. So at the age of 6, I was taken down the band room, and I was given a tiny little cornet to play, and a lifelong love of brass bands and music began at that point. While I was working my way through bands, going through the junior band, the senior band, working my way up to sit principal cornet and every other seat in between, you're surrounded by lots of people from all walks of life. And the big thing in the band room was if somebody had a problem, they'd literally stand up just before we went for a cup of tea at break and say, I got a question. Does anybody know somebody who can help me with? And it could be accounts, it could be absolutely anything, putting a roof on. And somebody in that room would know somebody who could help them if it wasn't them directly.
Yeah.
And that's magical. And the one big thing that kept cropping up was, I'm really struggling with my accounts. I'm about to lose my business and I can't afford an accountant. So I think I was about 11 or 12. I said, I can do that. And they went, but you can't. I said, but I will. Because I was getting a bit cheeky by this point. Yeah. So I did. I decided to look further into it, and they challenged me to do it as well. They said, well, get on and do it then, and we'll come to you.
Yeah.
So I did. I did pursue it. I did have a look. And all of my careers evenings and my work experience through school, that was all centered around, let's find out more about accounts. And then my bubble burst. Because the people who were doing the presenting, they were very staid, very suited and booted, talked a bit like this, the stereotypical. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is so boring. I don't want this.
Yeah.
And so I put the idea on the back burner, put my dream on the back burner and just went, think of something else.
Yeah.
So then muddled my way through, tried to find what I loved, went to uni, came out in Swansea, which was amazing, right by the sea, still playing in a brass band. That has followed me the whole way through wherever I've lived. I came away with a maths degree, which kind of indicates I really should have done it at that point back in, back 99. but I didn't. By this point, I was working part-time in a hotel on Swansea seafront, which it was one of the larger hotels with a bar, with a restaurant. It was fantastic. And I was working for a local family, which was just marvellous. So small businesses have always grabbed me just naturally.
Yeah.
So I pursued my next 14 years was pursuing a career in hospitality at all different levels, all different roles. It took me to places that you just don't expect to go.
Yeah.
And I worked for a small chain, I worked for an international chain, but it just stopped exciting me quite quickly because it can become quite repetitive. You're organising weddings, you're organising functions, and if you're not careful, and I think with any career, if you're not careful, things just become a bit too cookie cutter. I'll do it this way, and then you stick with it. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think from my point of view, that was happening. There's going to be people out there in hospitality management who love it, still love it, and they go, no, it's not cookie cutter at all. But I think for me, that the love and excitement was fading fast.
Yeah.
So I waited until my youngest was in school or started school, went to see a careers advisor in Newport with Careers Wales, who were just marvellous, to be fair. And it was the most surreal thing to do as an adult. So I did it anyway. And went in and asked them, what were my options really? What could I do? What were my options? I was completely open. And guess what popped up yet again?
It was always there. It was
meant to happen.
There. And you know what? Just to interrupt a little bit, where you said, or something I should have stuck to from before, and I did, or do you know what? The time wasn't right. I always feel like, people will say that to me. Oh, I bet you wish you did this ages ago. No, because obviously the time wasn't right. And so when the time is right, it'll happen because you will be ready. And also things will fall into place because it just matches the right time. So, yeah.
Yep. So my second trip to uni started where I became a chartered accountant, qualified in 2015, and the doors just flew open. They were so wide. It was amazing. I was lucky partway through my studies to get to take an opportunity working in finance at the BBC. And that's like working nowhere else, to be fair. You don't expect to be travelling up to London to hula hoop on Blue Peter on their final show as part of a world record breaking attempt. That was 2011. It was just, you don't expect to be walking down the corridor and having a conversation with Derek the weatherman, thinking, because I struggle to put names and faces together. So when I recognise someone, I probably don't remember their name.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So it's a strange one. And I kept seeing Derek the weatherman and I didn't realise that's who it was. I thought he was in my office because it was an office of 80. So I'd have a chat with him every morning, much to the amusement of some of my colleagues.
They're just people.
Absolutely. But he's so friendly and there's lots of people there that are really, really friendly. I got involved with the staff choir and Kevin Myers, who was taking the staff choir and doing lots of compositions for them. We'd be performing together on the radio. I'd be playing cornets to accompany with another gentleman who played flute, and there was a pianist, and he just rearranged and composed pieces for the choir to perform and us. We got taken down to Llandaff Cathedral. I even got to play a sound effect one of the years that Wales Rugby sadly weren't doing very well. So it was a very kind of down and out, look at Wales, and they wanted just a sound effect. So that was all part of my role, as well as doing accounts. It was surreal, absolutely surreal. But eventually the time came to grow and develop my own career. And the best way for me to do that was sadly to leave the BBC because my children were still young. And when you get promotion within the BBC, particularly in finance, you're asked to travel across the country and go and see different departments, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But as a mum with young children, from a family perspective, that wasn't quite right for us. So the decision had to be made for me to progress in my career. I had to leave the BBC and find something closer to home, which I did. And then eventually the opportunity was there in 2018 to start up my own business. So I took it with both hands and really, really went with it. And here I am 8 years later, still loving it.
Look at you now. But you know what I love about your story is that it's like you said, you were in these environments where people were very stuffy, very suited and with that type of thing. And you realized that wasn't you. And that is so true, because that happens a lot when I work with my clients. And it happened with me as well. When I left corporate, because my background was corporate, and when I left, I sort of was in that whole mindset about, to be professional, you have to be suited and booted, and you have to be this certain person when you show up. And I realized that the whole reason why I left and I was doing my thing is because I wanted to be me, and I wanted to put myself into it. And that's what was so exciting about listening to you, is that you're an accountant with all of this experience of figures and all of these things, but you're such a bubbly personality, an exciting personality around that it's not the typical, what people would say, a typical accountant, and I think that's what makes you so successful in what you do, because the types of people that you're going to attract are people that want that feel, that friendly feel, that bubbly feel, that feel that doesn't make them feel like, oh my gosh, I'm really restricted, I'm really scared, and am I going to be, prosecuted tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, I love your story so much, because your personality has just been mixed in with what it is that you do, and I can tell that you absolutely love it. You know, just in that space, you love it. Have you so when you made that decision, would you say that was that scary at all to sort of like set up on your own? Because, and when I say scary, I mean, sometimes we've got those voices in our heads that negative things and say, oh, well, I'm leaving a well-paid job, blah, 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 and I'm going to set this up myself. Can I do this, whatever? But then you've also got external voices, so people around you, people going, well, are you sure you can do this? Well, what are you doing after all that, what you've been doing before? So how scary was it for you? What were the voices like around you?
So friends and family voices were very much, it's about time. That was the reaction I got. And I thought that was the norm until I've spoken to other people and realized that's not the norm. I was really, really shocked. So I can't be thankful enough to my friends and family, because that's what helped drive me through. Because I knew that I was starting with zero clients to start with when I got the first office. And on day one, I literally walked through the door and went, make it happen. That's it. Just make it happen. I literally went, okay, so there's a couple of things I need to do. And the first thing I did was I set up, got all of my social media pages up to date, created the business page, did all of the admin stuff that I would normally put off because there was nothing to put it off with at that point. Did all the double checking, have I got all the insurances in place? So all the formal admin. I did all of that. And then I used my two little legs at the bottom of my body, and I literally pounded the streets, and I went all around the city centre, because I was in the city centre at the time. And I went into all the businesses, and I kept going into all of the businesses, got my face known, got introduced in a whirlwind to all of the traders inside the market as well. A couple have become clients since as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the traders in the market pre-regeneration.
Yeah.
So bearing in mind this was 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was a very, very, very different world. And slowly but surely, once your first client arrives, I think your whole demeanor changes and the way that you approach everything changes, because you start learning, really, what does a client want to see? What do they want to hear? And you base what you're putting out there on what you're being asked.
Yeah.
So I'd say to anybody, learn from your first client. If they're asking the same question all the time, make sure you're answering it, not just to them, but to other people, because it's never just one person. Alongside building the business, I did for the first 12, 18 months, get a part-time job as well in accounts in a small business in Newport to stabilise the income. And that was a temporary role, which was just marvelous. So it just sorted it out for everybody.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that, and it is a journey, it is a road, because you had to pound the streets, you had to do all the steps, you had to do all the things. It didn't just fall into your lap. You had to sort of think, okay, what have I got to do to get clients? So I've got to get out there and start talking to people. But also what you did is you shared your personality as well, which is, again, something that, I always encourage. The passion, your personality, and all of that is going to sell your business so much more than you saying, trying to be all professional, because people are going to go, oh, I need to know more. The old saying, people do business with people. It is very true. They want to know more about you because of the way you are. I remember when I first, started my business back in events, that was my background. I don't know if you knew that, like, my background was in events, and I was doing special events and weddings. And I thought, well, how do I connect with my potential clients, my couples, because you have to sort of like get those couples on board who want that help with their wedding. And I thought, well, where do they go? Let's think about their journey. And the first thing that they do is look for a venue. And so I thought to myself, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a list of all the potential venues in and around the area.
Yep.
And then I just created my own things called venue fact sheets with all key questions that I would ask all these venues. And then I just picked the phone up and I just made appointments, and I went in and I was there enthusiastic about the fact that, I'm planning weddings and I'm going to bring couples here, but I also, interested in them telling people about what I do and how I help them. And it was amazing. I mean, some of the relationships that I made at that point, they are the strongest relationships that I still have now. They are still there because you're just you. You just turn up as you, and you share your story. You share what you've got to offer. And I love that. I love the fact that we're old school.
Yeah, it's sometimes old school is effective, and I think it just breaks through that bubble. To be fair, it's surprising. I think my first client I met was part of a vegan festival, and they were a stall on there, and they said, "Oh, we've seen you go in and out of the door over there," because it was upstairs in the market. So they said, "What do you do?" And when I said, they said, "Oh, we need an accountant," and it was literally, and I was thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me?" So I bought some. Thing that I probably wouldn't, well, I do buy now, but from a different supplier. But yeah, and it's just bananas. Another client I met in band, funnily enough, because they were that was a not-for-profit, and they were looking for accountancy support. But they wanted something more regularly. So I got to do what I loved quite quickly. And yeah, I think I was really lucky that I was able to grow organically at a pace that worked for me rather than very, very rapid.
I don't think it was luck. I don't think it was luck. I don't think there's no such thing as luck. I think we make our own luck. The choices that you made and the steps that you took created your luck. Because if you didn't get up and pound the streets and have the conversations
Yeah.
and do all of those things, that luck wouldn't have happened. And I think
No.
a lot of people, again, it's easy to say, oh, they were really lucky. And yes, there might be a little element of that, but that luck does not kick in until you do something. You
Yeah.
have to do something for the luck to kick in.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. You can't just sit there and hope that something amazing is going to just turn up in front of you. So yeah, you were just out there going for it, and then drawing the people in. Was there a time that you, because it all sounds like such a wonderful story, but I want to know, was there a time that you felt like you lost your way?
Um, it took, at one point, my husband had a stroke after a year of me being in business. So obviously that was quite a trial
Yeah,
to work everything through, and that was quite scary because you didn't know at the time, didn't know where things were going to go. So aside from obviously looking after the children and my husband, I had to make sure that I was looking after the clients that I had. So I just told them the truth. I said everything. I checked to see whether or not deadlines were up to date and said to them, if there's anything in addition that you need, at the moment is going to take me a bit longer. This is the reason why.
yeah,
And the reaction from every single person I contacted was, if there's anything you need, just give us a shout because we know
absolutely.
you don't drive. I had a baker who delivered cakes to me, a stationery supplier who moved a desk chair from one location to
Yeah,
another to help. There was lots and lots of help
yeah,
from my clients, which actually in turn helped me as well and
yeah,
long term helped them.
yeah,
The following year in 2020, obviously, COVID, the
yeah,
scariest time I think any of us have ever been
yeah,
through, because again, it was the unknown. We didn't know how long it was going to last, what was going to happen, were we safe? And so much changed, including the fact that on my birthday in 2020, I got the parcel from the developers of Newport Market to tell me get out. So I was thrown out of the market. That's the brutal way of putting it, but that's when I was given my month's notice to leave the market.
okay.
Luckily, so that really could have scuppered everything. So I'm
Yeah.
working from a 40-year-old dressing table with a 40-year-old dressing table stool, getting this on my birthday, going, oh, thanks, that's
Yes, I
lovely.
know.
Yeah, I was not delighted, I can assure you. Within 48 hours, not only had the network I built up, the network of friends I built up through Port Hour on old Twitter, got in touch, I'd found a new office up here in Beechwood House. To which, because of how everything was working and the restrictions that were in place as well, because we've got to remember there was a lot of restrictions in place, I finally moved into Beechwood House in the August and got everything moved from Newport Market up to the house.
Right.
So again, I would say I was lucky in that, but then you're going to say, actually, Liz, if you hadn't have
You
if
go,
you hadn't
you
built up the relationships, I wouldn't have had
absolutely,
the opportunity. So
absolutely. We draw in the right people into our lives. We draw in what we give out. And so, you have such an amazing community around you. I can think of different situations myself, and people would say, oh, you're so lucky that happened. No, no, no. And sometimes because I'm the sort of person who can be very sort of upbeat and looking. Not that I've learned over the more recent, when I say recent years, maybe the past sort of 10 years or so, to sit with things when they don't feel right, because I
yeah,
am the sort of person who will, okay, there's got to be a way out of this, and I'm still that person. There is a way out of it. But also, I think it's very important that I sit with it. Why do I feel
mhm,
like this? Why does this feels terrible? This feels, icky. Why do I feel it? And all of these things. So, um, you know, but when something awful happens and I've still got that personality, people are like, oh my, they're looking at me thinking that something amazing happened when it didn't. I said, I've still got to go through all of that, but I absolutely jumped over the hoop and got to the other side, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, you built your relationships, you built your community, and that's why you're where you are now. So that's awesome. I feel like, you know, I can feel all that warmth from your people. I can feel all the warmth from your people. Oh, I love
They are amazing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love our chat. And Beechwood House is such a lovely venue as well, isn't it? I've done things there. I've ran some workshops there as well. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's you know, we're surrounded by green. I get to walk to the office every day, and I'm surrounded by trees and fields, and the views are spectacular. And it doesn't matter if it's a sunny day, if it's a rainy day, it's just constantly gorgeous. So yeah, it's a lovely environment, and I've added a lot of colour into the office as well.
I bet. I bet. Right. Well, Liz, honestly, I love our conversation, but we're going to bring it to a close, and I've got some quick fire questions for you.
Okay.
So the first one is, do you understand what makes you truly happy?
Funnily enough, I do. It's not a specific thing, it's a feeling. And I do genuinely trust my gut feeling, and it can be over anything. It can be over something you've bought, something you're drinking. It can be over anything, but I go with my gut feeling.
Yeah. And is there a particular thing that you sort of like dip into to sort of like, because you know that makes you feel good?
I like creating something useful. Now, I know creating a file to give a client sounds really, really boring accounting. It really does. I appreciate that. But knowing that, you know, just a summary sheet to say, this is what you owe, this is what you can take, this is the tax that you may or may not have to pay. You know, it does make a difference knowing that at the end of the day, they're not really worried where something sits in the accounts. They just want to know, how much can I have? How much tax do I have to pay? And so that's it. 9 times out of 10, that's really what they want. So it's being able to deliver what somebody wants. And I do like to create something useful for the client. So yeah.
I love that. And how are you with getting still to feel emotion? And I think you've touched on that already, like you can really feel how things feel for you. Do you feel you're really good at that?
I wouldn't say I'm really good, but I do trust my own instincts. If I feel that I'm in the wrong room, I'll leave it. You know, and I'm not fazed by that. I don't turn around and try and you know, fluff it or fit in. I don't do that anymore, because I don't think I need to, and I don't particularly want to. If you're in the wrong room, leave. The right room is just over there for you. So that's my big thing. You know when you're surrounded by the right people.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the reason I asked that question is that I feel it's so important to be able to connect with how you feel about something, and whether something feels right. When I mentioned, you know, just earlier about, you know, sitting with the feeling or understanding, because I think, again, what happens a lot of the times, especially to people who are struggling to find their true self and their true life, is that they keep going through the motions and through the habits and just continue through their life. And then all of a sudden they're standing there looking around and thinking, how did I get here? How has this happened? You know, why am I in this situation? This isn't something that I thought would happen to me. And I feel like the signs are there all along the way. You know, they didn't just happen. It was little things were happening to lead you to that point. And it's being able to sit with those feelings and be able to feel them or when I say getting still, sometimes it's not even literally still, it's just still in your mind. Make it, instill in your mind to be understanding this doesn't feel right. So let's just unpack it. But yeah. So, okay. And have you found your tribe?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. In a space I wasn't expecting. So as we know, as we touched on originally, I grew up in a brass band, and traditionally you look at a brass band and it's primarily men, older men, but brass banding has changed dramatically, and it's completely mixed. All walks of life are there. And when I was growing up, all walks of life were there. Women, men, children, old, young, didn't matter. So you would have thought that naturally I'd be happier in a mixed environment, particularly for small business wise.
Yeah.
But yet I was super settled with the Poppy Business Network. Really, really happy. That was a really comfortable network. It was lovely. It was friendly, just what I needed. And when that ended and Starless started in Newport, in a venue that I could get to, it was just instant. It was just walk through the door and I just felt at home. So thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, lovely network. Yeah, because I'm familiar with that network as well. Absolutely love it. It's really friendly, and it is the sort of network that, I can see you fitting in because it's just got that community feel about it. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, found your tribe. And finally, do you love yourself unconditionally?
Most of the time, not all of the time.
That's a common answer.
Yeah. I think there's times where I need to give myself a big shake and say, "Oh, get a grip," which is when I don't love myself. But then there are times where I think, "Wow, and everything has just flown. It's just worked, and everything just feels natural and comfortable." Yeah. And that at that point you're doing the right thing. And so I'm going to stick with most of the time, just not all of the time.
You're working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Liz, I've loved our conversation. It's been fabulous having you on the podcast and just finding out so much more about you. And I know my listeners will have been inspired by your story as well. I'm really hoping that if you are listening to this podcast right now, that you would have picked up some of the tips and the sort of directions that Liz talked about. Your life were probably completely different from Liz, but there's steps that Liz takes, that anybody else takes to actually get to the life that they truly want to live. So, Liz, where can people find you online? I mean, obviously, you're based in Newport, aren't you, in the office? Yeah. If they wanted to sort of, and I'm assuming you work with people remotely as well, not just local people. Yeah.
So I've got clients all over the country. So that's fine.
If they want to get in touch, then where's the easiest place to find you online?
So the business page is on Facebook, SF Accounts Limited. We have a website as well, sfaccounts.co.uk, and we've got all of our information on there, and there's a contact us page if you do want to get in touch. If you want to come and see us in person, we've even got an event booked on Tuesday the 16th of June. That's at the White Hut in Cwmbran. The link is available for tickets on the website, Eventbrite, and you can book that via the Facebook page, the event page on there as well. So you can come and see us in person. We can book a Teams meeting. We can book a phone call. Yes, completely your choice how you'd like to get in touch.
Fabulous. I will share your links as well with the show when it goes out. But I just wanted you to sort of share a little bit so that anyone listening could get that information. Thanks again, Liz. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has been listening to the podcast today. I will be back with another amazing guest next week. But in the meantime, keep being the true you. Bye, everyone.